Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Mystic Podcast, and I'm your host Rahul N. Singh. Thank you for taking out the time today to either watch or listen to this podcast episode. Before we begin, there's a few details I would like to share with you. If you would like to support the Bearded Mystic Podcast, do sign up to the podcast's Patreon page where you can get ad-free and bonus episodes. The details are in the show notes and video description below. Another way is that you can sign up to our monthly subscription available on the Apple Podcasts app. Every Saturday there is a free meditation session along with a discussion that occurs afterwards. If you would like to join, please find the details in the show notes and video description below. If you would like to have a one-on-one meeting with me as a friend to help you with your spiritual journey, you can find the details in the show notes and video description below on how to sign up for them. Today we will be continuing on with our series called Wisdom of the Mystics, and last month we looked at the teachings of the greatest Chinese sage Lao Tzu. In this episode, we will be looking at the teachings of the most inspirational mystics of India of the 20th century, Shree Anandmayi Maa. I will be looking at some of her sayings and contemplating upon them. One thing I do note that whenever I do look at the pictures of shreemaa, it does bring a feeling of devotion, and you can see the purity within her, the gracefulness. You just feel that sense of strong spiritual energy and aura. The first quote that we're going to look at is, "A doubt arises in your mind. Why is it taking so long in the advancement of sadhana? Innumerable inauspicious deeds have been done in this and previous births. Unless these are cleansed, delay in the progress of sadhana will surely be there. Once the body-mind are cleaned up, medicine in the form of Nam Japa will be effective. None of you know who has progressed to what extent. Hence, keep doing. Who knows when the auspicious moment will arrive?" A very beautiful quote. A lot to unpack. First of all, we can sense here that spiritual seeking isn't an immediate success. It can be both direct and progressive. It may take time. It may not be that straight away when we come across that gyana, that truth, that we will get there. We need to be patient. Many of us, we want a fast food type of spiritual progress, but that isn't possible, and that isn't sustainable either. If you think about it, if we continuously eat fast food, what happens to our body? We start to feel unhealthy, we don't feel good. Our taste buds will have a momentary happiness and enjoyment in eating it, but after we feel the effects. For example, if you've ever had McDonald's, I'm not speaking bad about McDonald's, but say when you have a burger of theirs, you feel okay for a bit, but then after a while you start feeling sluggish and slow, and eventually you even want to take a nap. Then literally start feeling hungry again. So it's not something that will satiate us or make us feel fulfilled. Likewise, if we keep looking for shortcuts in spirituality, we're not going to feel fulfilled. If we think that some God is going to help us, or that even the Guru is going to help us and we'll get there straight away because their grace can happen at any time, no. It does require some sincere practice and a lot of honesty and authenticity and integrity on our behalf. First of all, we do need to be patient with our sadhana, with our practice. One thing that she says, which is really interesting, is that we do not know what deeds we have done in the past, nor the outcome of those actions. Therefore, we need to have a larger view when it comes to addressing our karma. Yes, we've done karma in this life, but let's consider for a moment that we've done a lot of karma in our previous lives, and we don't know whether they've been good or bad. But say we've come across someone like shreemaa or a guru like her, and we want to improve our spirituality. Now, it's with their teachings, when we practice their teachings through sadhana, that we may find that we're addressing those previous karmas. Now, it may be that even after enlightenment, we may face the outcomes of the previous actions that we've done in the past. Now, remember, because we can put an end to them by reacting in the right way, because we have that vivek, that discernment, just remember that if you have previous karma to deal with, remember that your sadhana is going to help you with that. This is why it's important that we follow what Sri Krishna suggests in the Bhagavad Gita, which is to perform our actions but have no attachment or desire for any outcome or fruit of those very actions. We are not to think about the positive or negative outcomes. We are just to perform our actions, and that is it. Let nature decide what needs to happen. The other aspect is, when you have other people try to create reactions out of you, try and remain as the observer as much as possible. That's an important thing to do. There's no need to react straight away. Become the observer. See what the best reaction is. Maybe silence, maybe doing nothing is the best way. Sometimes we think that we must act in a certain way. We must do something. We must respond. But sometimes even our non-response is the best response. But we have to understand if that is the best thing at that time. That's something we have to decide individually and according to the circumstance or the situation. Once we become more of the observer, once we do this and convince our body and mind that karma belongs to it only, but not to the Atma or to formless awareness, then we may do Nam Japa. Nam Japa is a great practice that will really help us. And Nam Japa is basically mantra meditation. We chant those sacred words or sacred syllables that have been given to us by our guru or something we've heard maybe on YouTube or on a podcast or just by chance. We may hear a Nam Japa like Om Namah Shivaya. That may help us. Or chanting Hare Krishna Hare Rama. That can help us. Whatever connects us to the divine and connects us to our higher nature, that will help us. Remember that Nam Japa is a great meditation that we can do. Now, one thing that I always emphasize and will continuously emphasize is that we must be sincere when we are remembering this Nirgun Brahman, this formless awareness, which is our true self, as much as possible with the sacred names of the Lord. Remember, the sacred names of the Lord are just tools to help us go back into that awareness of Nirgun Brahman. How can we remember Nirgun Brahman? Do Nam Japa. Remember the Lord. Remember the names of the Lord, whether it's Ik Onkar for you, whether it's Om, whether it's Om Namah Shivaya, whether it's remembering Shakti, or any Guru that you have, or any Ishtevta, or any Guru Mantra that you've received. Do Nam Japa of that, and that will help you create strong spiritual strength and resilience. So whenever something positive or negative occurs to you, you know the best response to give in terms of the body and mind, but remember to establish yourself as the Atma and understanding that this positive and negative reaction does not belong to you, because you are that formless awareness, also known as the Atma. And as shreemaa is guiding us, we must continue our practice, because who knows when that moment arrives when we become enlightened or we have a spiritual awakening. Now, I am of the belief that we have many spiritual awakenings that will eventually lead to enlightenment. Now, that's for the majority, I believe. That's my humble opinion. Now, there are some people who go straight to enlightenment. But if we actually closely analyze, we will find that we've had many awakenings before we get to enlightenment. We've had signs that have led to that. Unless you're like Sri Ramana Maharishi, where it is a direct realization straight away. Everything is according to our previous karmas, but remember that auspicious time of self-realization can only occur if we are sincere in our practice. If we continuously practice this Nam Japa, we can get there. And that's why meditation is so important. Mindfully remembering the Lord, remembering our formless awareness, going back to being aware of our awareness, that is key here. Being conscious of our consciousness, being aware of the formless within, and remembering that this formless is all-pervading and within. Now, the second quote, who am I? Along with this query, try to keep your mind as a witness. Find yourself. It is needed to be one-pointed, so long as you sit fixedly, without movement, in contemplative mode. Very wonderful quote. Who am I? this has been an important inquiry that has been part of the spiritual community since the times of the sages of the Upanishads. But more so, it's been relatively made popular with the great teachings and guidance from Sri Ramana Maharishi. But even Swami Vivekananda, even Brahmamsa Yogananda ji, they have all helped us in understanding this question of who am I, of self-inquiry. And same here, shreemaa is giving us a great practice with contemplating upon who am I. We need to keep the mind as a witness. Now, it's interesting here. She's not telling us what the answer is. She's telling us just to contemplate on the question of who am I. How do we contemplate? Is by being the witness. Observe the mind when we go through this inquiry of who am I. Try to find where is this I-ness coming from. Where is it arising from? Where does it originate from? What is its cause? And if we do this with sincerity, we will come to an important conclusion. Like I mentioned, we need to keep the mind as a witness. The question who am I and its contemplations is like the images and the witness is like the blank screen. For example, the contemplations may be as we go through the inquiry, as we try to do through the neti approach of who am I, of not this, until we get to pure awareness, until we get to the absolute foundation of I-ness. How we get there is remembering that the witness is the blank screen and everything that is a content of that blank screen is the images and contemplations of that question of who am I, of that self-inquiry. The whole point of this practice is not to find some God separate to you or to find that you are nothing at all. A lot of people can start thinking because through neti, through the process of negation of not this, they think that we reach this point of emptiness or nothingness. That's not the case. There is something that we find and it's extremely subtle. Now, what I would say, remain first sincere in finding yourself, and the answer to who you are lies within the witnessing itself. So this observing is most important. We need to be one-pointed and most of all sit comfortably. Be at ease, and the answer will easily be attained as you will be relaxed and can just focus on being the witness to the who am I contemplation. One thing that she mentions is one-pointed. So if for 5 minutes we are to contemplate on this question of who am I, we need to think and focus and be sincere and be firm on this question, who am I? We are not to move to anything else. We are not to think about washing the dishes or putting the dishes in the dishwasher or going to get groceries or we need to study for the exam again. We've been putting off revising for the exam, but suddenly now we want to revise for the exam. Those are the things that we can utilize to help us. Most people ask me, what is the best position to sit for in meditation? I say sit in the chair. It doesn't have to be that you sit cross-legged and that is the only way to do it. If you feel comfortable sitting cross-legged, do that. If you feel comfortable kneeling, kneel. If you feel comfortable sitting in a chair, sit in a chair. If you feel comfortable lying down, lie down. The main thing is to be at ease. If your body is at ease, it's much easier for your mind to be at ease. This is a very subtle point to understand about meditation. Now, because our body is at ease and therefore we are now observing our mind and we are single-pointed towards this question of who am I, and once we contemplate on that formless awareness, as we continuously become aware of our awareness, there will be a point in this contemplation when the mind does become still and the whole body enters into this stillness at the same time as pure awareness, formless awareness shines forth, capturing our attention, fixing our attention where it cannot move anywhere and we are grasped by it completely. I have experienced this thanks to my Guru's grace. I can say it's through this practice that I've attained this experience. This can be achieved. I can guarantee this. And all that happens is you become totally grasped by that formless awareness and it really just captures you and you cannot move anywhere. It's so intoxicating by being centered in it that you do not want to go anywhere. You don't want to travel anywhere else. You don't want to entertain a different thought. You become absolutely timeless in this. It's so beautiful. This can be experienced by you. Every single person has the ability to do this. And don't let anybody tell you you cannot. It doesn't matter what your previous karmas are, we will be dealing with them with the question of who am I? Now think about it. If your karma belongs to your body and mind, who am I will tell you are not the body and mind. You are this pure awareness. Because you understand that there is this self-awareness that is all-pervading and is your true self. So have faith in this. Let's get to the next quote. Quote 3. What does it mean to enter your own nature? It is what it is, permeated in everything, every form and every way. That which is self-effulgent. There, language and speech do not work. The ultimate reality, in true sense, is formless. Can this be expressed in any language? Indeed, there is only He. When shreemaa says He, we can use the more gender-neutral it. And that may be a more universal approach. Let's go further into explaining this quote. Your own nature is basically what it is. Yeah, when you enter that state of formless awareness, it's basically what it is. That's your nature. Now, there is nothing more to understand other than that you are isness itself. It's very direct and clear. You are that awareness itself. You permeate in everything, seen, touched, heard, smelt, and tasted. You are in it all. Your true nature is self-effulgent because its light projects itself upon itself. Here, shreemaa says language isn't needed. Remember in the last episode when we looked at the Tao Te Ching? And Lao Tzu said, the Tao that can be told is not the Tao. The Tao that can be named is not the Tao. This is exactly what this quote is also saying. When you enter into the experience of pure awareness, of the ultimate reality, of Nirgun Brahman, that attributeless, formless state, no language is required there. When you become one-pointed in your awareness, you don't need language to express anything. You don't need your emotions to express anything. You just find absolute rest in this. And in this experience, speech is not needed here. It's not required. You don't need to utilize it. Maybe later on you will after the experience, but while you're in there, while you're in that pure awareness, while you're fixed in that pure awareness, you don't need any language. You don't need to speak about it, either externally, outwardly, or inwardly. And great silence descends in this moment. Great silence, this unending silence will descend upon you. This experience occurs when we truly enter into that formless awareness. Something we can emphasize here is how the ultimate reality, this Nirgun Brahman, is basically formless awareness. The reason why we emphasize formless is so we don't make awareness into another thing to grasp onto, or another thing to hold on to, another concept, another idea. We don't want to do that. There's enough concepts, there's enough ideas. We don't need to make the experience of formless awareness into another idea or concept, because it's our direct experience. In an idea or concept, you have to believe in it. You have to have faith in it. With this, you don't. The experience is enough. Entering into that state is enough. Also, this shows us how this formless awareness is beyond space, and in the next quote of shreemaa is going to go into this. So before we get to the next quote, we need to establish here that there is only this pure formless awareness, or our true nature. There is nothing else. It is only this one, and this is how language can express it if it must, that there is only oneness. There is only this pure formless oneness. Nothing else. No thing else. The fourth quote, the great void, Mahashunya, is only its manifestation. The great void is not synonymous with nothingness. What is not. Again, everything is there and not there. Negation of naught, negation of everything. To obtain everything by way of losing everything, that too is required. This is an incredible quote, and one that we should really think about and contemplate upon, and maybe listen to again, because it is so subtle that it will take you to formless awareness straight away if you go with it, if you travel with it. And here it's very clear that this space-like emptiness, which is vaster space, is only another form of manifestation of this formless reality. It's another veil that keeps us away from understanding this mahashunya, this great void. Now, this great void, however, is where all creation or manifestation appears within. Therefore, it is not nothingness. So remember that because there is space within this mahashunya, within this great void, manifestation of Maya can occur. Therefore, it's not simply nothingness. Now, at the same time, because it's formless, it is also fullness. Although we may say there is nothing there, because if we get rid of space, there is nothingness, but there is still this essence that remains. This essence is formless, and this essence is purnam. It is purna, it is full. Then Shreemaa says, what is not. This is more like a Zen koan that is meant to silence or prepare the mind. For what is also is what is not. By doing this, she's taking us to the direct experience. We can't really express what that means. What is not. It's very difficult to express what that truly means. But let's try. There is this formless, which is what is. And then what is not is that it's not of any form. That's the way to understand it. Then she says everything is there and not there. The manifestation is, yet is not there either. For example, the blank screen and the images. Remember, the manifestation, everything is there, but then it's not there because once the screen is turned off, the blank screen remains. And no matter what has been manifested there, it has no imprint on the blank screen. Then she says negation of naught, the negation of zero, and the negation of everything. So getting rid of everything and getting rid of zero. This is very, very deep. If you travel with me right now, we're getting there. So get rid of the void, get rid of nothingness, and that is where the truth lies, in that all-pervading formlessness, where there is only formlessness. Because if we say there is nothing, we may have a slight, subtle feeling of space-like emptiness. And here Shreemaa wants us to get rid of that space-like emptiness and just enter into this direct formlessness. Therefore, to capture this truth, we have to let go of everything we know and experience, and we must become absolutely devoid of everything and allow what is, and at the same time what is not, to simply shine by itself. That's all we need to do. Quote number 5, even if the Guru departs and you don't see him or her in his or her physical body, still, at every moment, at all times, so long as your aim is not fulfilled, he or she will give you the necessary guidance to make you hold on to your path. What is the meaning of their giving? Where will they go? Meaning the Guru. Where will the Guru go? There is no question of their going. The Guru will reveal themselves or itself. Now, this quote is somewhat personal for me. I have felt that I've wanted to speak upon this. At first I was apprehensive about putting this quote in, but I felt like now I want to speak about it. I'm comfortable to. Many of us will lose our Guru in the physical form, or that has happened to us in the past. But it's inevitable. It will happen. Shreemaa's followers and disciples, they've lost her too. So this is something we're all going to experience one day, if we have a mentor or a guru or a teacher. Now, some may happily accept the new guru, the successor, either by the selection of the guru themselves, so they may select the next guru, or a committee may decide who will lead the spiritual organization as a new spiritual head. Now, some may not accept the new successor or successors that follow, and they may prefer the previous form of the Guru. And the biggest question that some may have is whether this is right or wrong, because the spiritual organization needs you to accept this new successor. They may guilt trip you into following them, into you accepting that new Guru. This is a natural response. It's neither right nor wrong, in my opinion. Even I went through this process of how do I accept the successors to my Guru, to the teacher that initiated me with Brahm Gyan. One time I was listening to a talk by Swami Sarvapriyanandaji, and someone asked a very similar question That do I have to accept the successor that has followed from my guru? Is it necessary for me to do so? And Swami Sarvaprananaji gave a very interesting response. He said that you can always worship and love the guru that initiated you, and yet respect the lineage that follows after the guru departs from the earth. So it's not necessary that you need to accept the successors as your guru, and that they are now the guru of the day and you must accept them. Now, what we can do is respect the seat, or respect the lineage, or respect the sampradaya. But the love and devotion that we may have is to the guru that initiated us. For example, for me, my guru will always be the guru that gave me this Brahm Gyan, this supreme knowledge of Brahman. And not only that, but gave me the teachings and guidance to bring this Brahm Gyan into my life. We can relax in the knowledge that if we have not attained moksha or mukti, which is the aim of spiritual life, then our guru will always provide us with the necessary guidance. And it may arrive in any form. What we need to do is keep our hearts open to that lesson. Now, what's interesting for me, and one day I will speak about my guru in Wisdom of the Mystic series, but I am still learning lessons from my guru even today. There'd be certain emails I look upon and be like, it's added a new dimension to one of my experiences. Or I will listen to a discourse of his and I will find that it adds another dimension to my spiritual understanding. So in that sense, the guru never dies. The guru is always alive for you, because they were never the physical. They were always that Brahm Gyan, that spiritual understanding that is embedded within your vivek, within your discernment, within the wisdom that has been given to you. Remember, the path here means, I want us to really understand what it means by when we say the path. The path is towards moksha, towards mukti. It doesn't mean that when shreemaa says to hold on to your path. When she says path here, it's not to hold on to a particular spiritual community or a particular lineage of gurus either. You can end up still loving the guru that initiated you and accept another guru of a different sampradaya, of a different spiritual organization. That is also acceptable. That's also allowed. Because the main thing is that we need to understand is that for those that have had the guru physically depart, the guru will eventually reappear. Most of all, they will always be shown residing within one's own heart. It's very true. And this is what we call the inner guru, the inner spiritual guide. And in fact, the physical guru will show you this by giving you the Brahm Gyan, by giving you that knowledge of Brahman. We have to turn within. Outward devotion towards the guru is not important. A lot of people do this. Outward expressions of gratitude is not enough if we've not embraced the inner guru, the inner wisdom, the Brahm Gyan that is residing within our heart and mind. When we start relating to the Brahm Gyan, then our guru becomes eternal, beyond form, beyond name, beyond shape, beyond any idea or concept. This is something we can experience. The moment you surrender to your guru, then everything of you belongs to the guru. In return, the guru gives you the teachings, the initiation, and that is all you ever need, this Brahm Gyan. That becomes your home. That is now your shelter. One thing that I always emphasize is that, and I'll express it here, that when I surrendered to my guru, I surrendered that my material life should be looked after whilst I concentrate on my spiritual life. It's really important that the wisdom of the guru becomes your shelter, becomes your home. One thing I will also express here, because my view may be a little controversial for some may not like what I've said, some may find it to be blasphemous, but we have to be real in today's day and age. There is no one person who is just teaching this truth. If we think so, we are just deluding ourselves, and we may be stopping ourselves from learning from somebody that can actually help us. I know that it's very important to have shraddha, to have faith, to have trust in one sampradaya or lineage. I understand that, and if that's what you want to do that completely. I think that's important if you find that to be one thing that helps you. But those of us that are more intellectual and may want to have further help, you can go outside of your sampradaya and not feel guilty. In the ancient times, it was well known that if a guru didn't have the answer, They will know of a teacher that can help you, and they will tell you to go to that teacher. Because your faith and loyalty was with your journey towards the truth, towards mukti. That was where you were loyal to. And this applies even today. I've often said in interviews or when I appear on a podcast as a guest, because people ask this question about the importance of having a teacher. And I always say this, that the guru of the masses has now come to an end. I don't see it as a viable path for everybody. To really have strong spiritual growth, you need to have a guru that can help you individually, personally, who can tell you the ins and outs of what's going on. Without that personal connection, there will not be much growth. And I have seen this. There are so many gurus that have many followers on YouTube, or subscribing to their YouTube channels, or listen to their podcasts, or attend their talks. In India, you'll have hundreds of thousands of people attend a talk, or will be showing allegiance to a particular teacher. But I ask this question: how much time do you have with that guru of a personal audience? One thing that I will emphasize, that now is the time where you need to find a guru that can give you time, because time is something that we have less of today, because our attention is going here and there. It's spread out in many different directions. So we need a guru that understands that our time is limited. Therefore, with the little time that we have, we put great intensity in those few moments. So those gurus that offer you a one-on-one meeting on a regular basis is what you need to look for. One thing I also will emphasize, that a true teacher ends up becoming a true friend. So don't go towards that teacher that will always create the pedestal, that will always create that division between you and them, that you are the disciple and they are the teacher, and that's going to remain forever. The teacher that becomes your true friend, your best friend, is the best one, because they will always have your back. So let's go to the final and sixth quote. The duty of a householder is satsang. Go only where there is discussion of Brahman, the stories of Brahman or the stories of the deities, and where there is bhajan and kirtan. Do not discriminate. Receive with an open heart and mind. Your guru is the guru of the world. Everybody's guru is your guru. Neither is your guru or ishta lesser than anyone else's. It is this one which is everywhere and in all forms. Pray in your mind, O Lord, O my ishta, you are everything. This revelation is so very beautiful. Let me understand it. What a very beautiful vision that shreemaa has. We are all mainly householders who listen to this podcast or watch this podcast. You have a householder life. You're living in the world. You're not a monk, most likely. If you're a monk, you're much higher than me and much better and probably more knowledgeable. And even householders, you may be experts already in this field of spirituality. I have a family. I have 2 sets of parents. I have a wife. I have nieces and nephews. One day I may have children. So I live a householder life. I go to work. Although if you would like me to do this more often and more regularly and have more time to spend on it, support me on Patreon. But that aside, what needs to be important for us, because we are householders, is to be in satsang, to be in the company of holy people, to be in the company of the truth, to be in the company of a community that can help us and address our issues that we have in spirituality, or to invite us to be more spiritual, to have more focus on spirituality. Shreemaa says that we should only go to that place where there is discussion of Brahman, the stories of inspirational figures or deities, or gurus and masters of the past and present, where there is bhajan and kirtan, where there are songs and chants of the Lord's name, or the chanting of sacred scriptures. All these invoke within us a strong sense of spirituality, and it makes us think of this Brahman itself. It actually increases our spiritual fervour, enthusiasm and zeal to know this one and be this one. When Shreemaa says do not discriminate here, meaning don't say that one divine figure is better than the other, or one mantra is better than the other mantra. All is Brahman. Therefore, revel in all, enjoy all, be in all. Have an open heart and mind is when satsang is fully receptive to the deeper teachings. Your guru is the guru of everybody, and everybody's guru is also your guru. What a beautiful thing shreemaa is saying. This shows you humility of shreemaa. She can easily say, I'm your teacher, you follow me. But she didn't. She said, everybody's guru is also your guru. See no difference. See the one in all of them. See this Brahman in all of them. Again hinting that the true teacher is Brahman itself. Such people like shreemaa deserve our loyalty. If you ever come across a guru like her, I would say follow them completely. They have my stamp of approval. If my stamp of approval matters or not. But they deserve it. Because truly it is the one that is in all forms. The ground of being, the ground of existence is Brahman itself. Therefore it's in everything. So everything is your teacher. And those that truly understand this go further and deeper into spiritual practice, into sadhana. They always want to be in satsang. To be in the company of the holy people, in the holy scriptures, in the holy chanting. It's all sacred. And we want to be in that sacredness for as long as possible. So when one sees the plurality, they advance so much further. This prayer in the mind is powerful. And this will show you the great expanse. The prayer that shreemaa says, which is, O Lord, O my Ishta. Remember your Ishtevta or your Ishta is the Guru or deity or God that you really have close affinity to, that you worship. So she says, O Lord, O my Ishta, you are everything. This revelation of this Brahmgyan, this Nirgun Brahman, is so very beautiful. Let me understand it. Let me see you in everything, in every form. Let me see the formless in all forms. Let me witness this. Let me be in this. And this prayer, if we allow this to settle within our mind, is very powerful. And our vision becomes so broad, so vast, that it goes even beyond the vastness of the universe. May this be the experience and feelings, bhav, of everybody. This is the end of the episode. Please do share this podcast with your friends and family who may enjoy this content. Do follow me on social media to keep getting updates. You can subscribe to the monthly Bearded Mystic newsletter. You can find the details in the show notes and video description below. If you would like to support the Bearded Mystic podcast, do check out the podcast Patreon page, or you can support the podcast through the Apple Podcast subscriptions, and you can find that on the Apple Podcasts app itself. The details are in the show notes and video description below. If you would like to have a one-on-one meeting with me as a friend to discuss your spirituality, you can find the details in the show notes and video description below. Please do like and comment on this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Or if you're listening to this podcast, please do follow and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast streaming app. Thank you very much for listening. I truly appreciate it. And let's end this episode by remembering the peaceful nature of Brahman. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Namaste.